But guys, I am going to try and do a fun with fountain pens. Here we go.
Here's a house. Here's a door. Windows 1, 2, 3, 4. Ready to knock? Turn the lock.
10 school. Okay, all right. I just absolutely love that show. Oh goodness, I've got to reposition the camera a little bit. Hold up. Okay, that will suffice. All right, the pen that I have for you is a Jinhao 992. You can buy one of these for about $2 on AliExpress, and they are absolutely useless. I bought about a dozen of them for $20 a few years ago just to kind of give away to kids. And what I really quite liked about them is that they do have a standard, they take a standard size 5 nib. So what I could do is buy a whole bunch of them and then put in different styles of nibs. So like this one, which is an oblique, I could just use. The problem is that they are made of such poor, cheap materials, they constantly break. You will see this is a Franken pen for the simple reason that I've had to make it up from the parts of other broken bits of pen. All right, so here we go. You can see this. It's just absolutely a piece of rubbish. I thoroughly don't recommend it. However, it is very, very useful to have a crappy pen like this for today. For those who don't know, over Christmas, I was in the Manawatu Wanganui region where there is a wonderful bricks and mortar fountain pen store. It's called Inked in Wanganui, and I visited them. They had this. It's a bottle of Stevens Fancy Blue writing ink. This is absolutely real. Now, Stevens, and I can bring that into focus for you. You look at the label, you can see that the label is really, really old. I would guess that this was perhaps manufactured sometime in the 1950s, 1960s, or maybe even earlier. The thing is with this company went out of business in the early 1980s, having been founded in Dunedin in the 1890s. They were making ink. You can see there using a recipe that they paid for from the United Kingdom. This is the great thing about this pen. An ink like this, which is an antique that God knows what has happened to it, is perfect for a pen like this that you don't care about, because I can test out the ink, and I'm going to test it out for you now. The other problem with this bottle, and I'll try and tip this so you can see it, is you can see how the cork is absolutely weathered, and you can see the cork is also blue. So what's happened is this bottle has been stored incorrectly for generations, I would say decades at least, and what's happened is that the ink has got into the cork, and over time I'm quite concerned that there are bits and pieces of cork actually inside the ink. So for that reason, I am going to use this old pen to test it. Let's see how it goes. Okay, the thing about this blue that is absolutely crazy, and you probably can't tell from this image, or maybe you can, is that it is really a traditional royal blue. This is the sort of blue, if you're in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, it's just that default color that you grew up with, always seeing coming out of ballpoints and coming out of fountain pens. It is just the most British of blues you can possibly imagine. If you'd asked me 20 or 30 years ago, I would have said, oh my God, that color is absolutely boring. But I've got to say, it's actually astonishing. It is really, really retro cool. I really like it. Like, I have not seen this ink in so very long that it is really something else to write with, and I really like it. The other thing about it is that it dries surprisingly rapidly. Not as rapidly as, say, a Quink from, Parker's Quink, which is lots of left-handed people prefer to use because it dries very, very fast. But this ink dries just not like faster than most others, but is not too dry to write in on the page. There is no shading in it or anything like that. It is just absolutely a consistent blue. Now, I have about... goodness gracious, I've probably got about 70 or 80 mils of this ink and it is irreplaceable. You cannot buy this. If you ever see a bottle like this around, it's got some ink in it, grab it, because this ink is it's unobtainable, and so it is going to be very, very precious. I'm going to put it on my shelf. In fact, now that I've tried it in this pen, I'm going to fill up one of my nice pens with the ink that's in this one and use it, but I'm going to use it very, very sparingly, because I would like to preserve this bottle for a long time into the future. Okay guys, so that is a Jinhao 992, a crappy pen. I like Jinhao, they make great pens. The 992 is not one of them. And Stevens ink from, I guess, the 1950s and 1960s in Dunedin. New Zealand made ink, Chinese made pen. Guys, you are watching Simon TV. Here's some more music.